It's time to do some myth busting on the James Lawrence Allcott channel. That's why I've got Rory from CFC Fan TV. We're going to go through the big questions that Chelsea fans need to answer, and he's going to do it for us. Let's have it. Before we get started, this is a new channel. My name is James Lawrence Allcott. The name of the channel, if you fancy subscribing, then do that right now. Enough of that chat, let's get into it, mate. Right, first question. I've got 5 questions for you.
I'm nervous.
To answer, yeah. You've got to, this is it now. Once you've said it.
It's like mastermind.
That's it, it's done. First one, let's talk about Antonio Conte. Will Antonio Conte be the manager of Chelsea come August, the start of next season?
No.
No. Done. Simple as that.
Yeah, sadly, it's a sad state of affairs because...
Won the league last year. He was this new revolutionary of football last year. Yeah. And is his reputation in tatters, or is it what's happened here then?
I love him. I mean, I know I'm not speaking for anybody apart from myself here, but I love Antonio Conte. I think what he achieved at Chelsea last year isn't given the credit that it deserves. It was phenomenal. You know, I think we accrued 93 points. We were a team that finished 10th the previous year, and we did it in a pioneering new way. By the end of the season, I think every team in the Premier League had tried a 3 at the back, off the back of Antonio Conte's blueprint. And I think it's with regret, it's really sad that he's not going to be at Chelsea next year, but I just can't see a way in which he is now.
Is that just the savage nature of the Premier League now?
I think it's the savage nature of Chelsea Football Club. Certainly a Chelsea thing more than a Premier League thing, but I don't want him to go, but I think he's got it wrong on a few big occasions, and I don't think he really wants to be there anymore. I think in a lot of the press conferences he's taken a pop at the board. A right pop, I believe. I side with him on almost everything. I think he's got 1 or 2 things wrong. One thing in particular, I think the only thing that I really think, disagree with him on, and it doesn't feel comfortable even saying this to you, but I think he got the Diego Costa situation wrong. I'm sure Diego Costa is a very turbulent character, hard character to get on with, but when you have a jewel like him, when you have somebody who can do what Diego Costa can do, you have to make it work. I imagine that when Eric Cantona was in his pomp, there were times when Ferguson had to make it work with him because he was so good at what he did.
Yeah.
And I think the one flaw for me that Antonio Conte has is not dealing with the bigger characters well.
And in terms of him not being there next season, do you think the reason for that is what? Is homesickness? Is being let down by the board?
I think it's cumulative. I think there's a lot of reasons. I don't think there's one thing. I think that it's partly his call. I think that he's had enough. I think that he feels that he's been dealt some pretty shoddy cards by the board. I think he's been treated quite badly by the board. And I think that he needs to move on, really. I think it's grown stale.
Almost as important as Antonio Conte, the other jewel in the crown, Eden Hazard. Will he be a Chelsea player come August? Real Madrid, it's been spoken about again and again and again. What are you seeing on the pitch this season that suggests he will be a player for you next year?
No, James. What I'm seeing on the pitch this year suggests he won't be a player. Right. I really hope so. We can't be a club.
Why would he stay? And why would he? Why? Can you understand why he'd want to go?
I think part of the why would you stay is a very it's a very flippant question, because it's like why you stay is, firstly, he's living a very privileged lifestyle. The wolf is not at the Hazard's door.
Yeah.
They're
in a great city as well.
So a lot of people like that. They're living a very privileged lifestyle in a wonderful part of the world, playing for a brilliant club where he's idolised, where he's winning trophies, where he is on course to potentially become the best player the club has ever had. So why you'd stay? A lot of reasons why you stay. Kids, very settled, school, like loads of reasons.
Yeah.
Why you'd leave though is also, I can see why. And I think what will determine it, I think 2 things. It will be the World Cup, and it will be Real Madrid's quest for the Champions League. Real Madrid win the Champions League, Zinedine Zidane keeps his job. Zidane is an open admirer of Hazard. It's reciprocal. And I think the allure of the city of Madrid, the Bernabeu, Zinedine Zidane, I think it would be the perfect storm, and Eden Hazard, given the right incentive financially and given Chelsea the right incentive financially, that move comes off.
So let's have it right. He goes. He's going.
What do you want from me? Do you want my head or my heart?
Oh, no, I think you got. I want a decision. Like no one sees it as much as you. Okay, you're talking about it day in day out.
Okay, so I have to be. I'm going for correct rather than what I hope for.
Yeah.
That means I have to say that he will leave Chelsea.
How good is this squad? This is a squad that walked to the title last year. I remember doing videos on Bull Street and we were trying to find a way, like, is this the week where they drew one game or they lost one game after the incredible runs that you went on? That squad won the league. And I think people were thinking, how do you beat those guys? Man City have come and gone on to a different level. Chelsea have been left behind, but so has everyone else. But how good is this squad?
I think the squad is exactly where it is in the league. It's somewhere between the 4th and the 7th best squads in the league, and that's pretty much where it will finish. It could overachieve and it could finish 3rd. It could underachieve and finish 7th.
Right.
But that's where it is. It's, you know, the league table rarely lies.
So when you see, despite having all those players that won the league for you last year, you're not as good as Liverpool. You're not as good as Spurs. No. You're not as good as Man United.
No. We hugely overachieved last year. You were shocked that we won the league, as everyone was. You know, we finished 10th. There was the same players that finished 10th as well, by and large. We then overachieved massively in a year where we didn't have the grief of Champions League football and no European football at all, actually. So we managed to overachieve. We did some wonderful things and it was great, but that squad did very well and overachieved. That squad is massively, so the squad that we had last year when we were champions isn't as good as the team now. Simply look at the transfers that happened. Who's better, Diego Costa or Alvaro Morata? No, answer. No,
oh, right, sorry, right.
Right.
Oh,
let's play a game.
It might as well be.
I'm on your channel, but I'm switching it now. I'm taking over. Right, let's play a game. Okay, who's better, Diego Costa or Alvaro Morata?
Yeah, Diego Costa, definitely. He's a bullet.
So 1-0 to the old team.
Yep.
Who's better, Nemanja Matic or the man we brought in, Bakayoko?
I think the hope initially was that the potential of Bakayoko would see him be a better player than Matic. The answer is Matic.
So 2-0 to the old team. John Terry, Rudiger?
I think Rudiger's done okay at times. I think you're never really going to replace John Terry, so that's a good point. That's another huge member of the dressing room, and I guess you can add to that, David Luiz is gone, really, isn't he?
Isn't there? Exactly. So overall, the squad isn't actually, it's actually a weaker squad because there was some abysmal work in the transfer window. Combine the fact that the transfer window was bust, really. It was terrible, with the fact that we then had Champions League football and we weren't in a position to defend the title.
So it's clear to you that the squad's not good enough to win the league. The transfer windows of the last two have not been strong enough. So it feels like there needs to be a bit of an overhaul in the summer as well. Who needs to go?
I think what needs to happen now, I've said sadly that I think Eden Hazard will leave. I wouldn't be surprised if Thibaut Courtois followed. And if that happened, I don't want it to happen. I don't want to become a selling club. But if that were to happen, what we need to do is take that huge injection of cash and completely rebuild. Because the current players, the players who carried us to the league last year, so Fabregas was very instrumental in it. Fabregas was gone. It's not happening. Pedro was incredible last year. It was the peak before the trough that he's been in this season. He really hasn't found his form, and it feels like it's gone for him. The
safety net of that spine, the safety net of a Costa 1-0 win at Palace away is gone.
Well, do you know what? The year we won the league, that happened so many times. Diego Costa pop up, you win 1-0. At Palace, it actually happened.
Yeah.
At Borough, it happened. Like, he was responsible for us scoring points on the board that we just weren't deserving of, and that's what makes you win the league.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of players that need to go.
So I'll give you 10 seconds before you go to say or ah, players who have to go. Reel them off.
Cesc Fabregas needs to go. Pedro needs to go. I wouldn't be sad to see Victor Moses go. I think Courtois will go. There's a lot, James. There's a lot.
You need more than 10 seconds.
A lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few that could go. I wouldn't be that surprised to see Alvaro Morata go.
From a QPR fan to a Chelsea fan, I've seen, when we started watching football, we were kind of close and we've gone on very different trajectories. Yours just seems to go up and up and up. And a big part of that is Abramovich. Yeah. But with Abramovich comes a lot of different highs and lows. highs and lows that you've probably got used to now in terms of the change, that ruthless nature that breeds success. But would you say that Abramovich, as the owner of Chelsea Football Club, in the long term, is a problem? Or this way of operating as a football club, are you actually streets ahead of the rest of world football, maybe a little less romantic, but ultimately you have to be ruthless and you have to get the job done to be a successful team in world football now?
Yes, I agree with the second part of that. I agree with everything you just said then. The way that Abramovich approaches football is to just win, regardless, and that is to implement a ruthless policy with management and spend a lot of money. And that's a policy that I like. Abramovich, you're never going to hear me say a bad word about Abramovich. He's given me some of the best days of my life, so I will always be grateful. We've had our differences, me and Roman, don't get me wrong. When he tried to make us leave Stamford Bridge, we had our falling out. But there's a lot of love. It's unilateral, I think. But
No, I know he's a big fan of yours.
But there's a lot of love from me for Abramovich. I have no issue with the system. I don't think it works for every club, and I don't think it's romantic, but it works for Chelsea. So the system is fine. The issue that we seem to have at the moment is that we're very tolerant, Chelsea fans, the way that he does things. You know, he sacked some of our greatest heroes. He sacked Di Matteo, sacked Ancelotti in the tunnel at Goodison Park. But we'll abide that because of all the good that comes from him and the success, absolutely. The problem is now that he doesn't seem to be spending in the way that he did. So I think that's going to need to change, because we seem to be the only club that's taking financial fair play seriously. You look at what PSG are doing and you look at what Man City are doing, and we're trying to balance the books and, you know, sell loads of players and make sure that we... Like, I know we broke our transfer record, but Chelsea were one of the few clubs that turned a profit last season. Yeah. So I'm not quite sure if that's going to last. It's
weird because you have got financial fair play, but it seems like you're kind of being done at your own game a little bit with the amount of money that's being spent, you know, on the players that ideally you'd want.
And he's preoccupied with a new stadium.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to have to dig deep into his pockets, because if he doesn't, we could spend 4 years at Wembley, which is going to cripple our club. Like, it's going to be disgusting. But we could spend 4 years at Wembley and come back as a mid-table team. What's the point in playing in front of 60,000 people, or in front of a stadium that holds 60,000 if there won't be that many people in there?
I guess it's one of the difficulties of looking to expand as a club, is that there might be a period of time where you've got to do that kind of thing.
Just don't do it. We haven't got what's the point? We're happy at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah. So that's another edition of Let's Have It Right with Rory from CFC Fan TV. If you haven't checked out that channel, CFC Fan TV, go and do it right now. I'll put a link in the description. It's a cracking channel. Go subscribe to that channel. If you want to see another episode of Let's Have It Right, then hit the poll card right now. I've done the exact same kind of thing with Sam from United People's TV, talking about Man United. He's had it right with his answers. So go check out that video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you soon.